Yo! Hope everyone is having an absolutely amazing day. There's some beautiful weather outside, and today's video is a bit different. Today's video is going to go over my diet, kind of what I used to do before, what I do now, and what I eat on a day-to-day basis, roughly. So I want to say shout out to 7H Sid Harthagoth 17. I'm sorry, I butchered the name. I tried, I promise, for the video idea. I also want to apologize for not filming the pull-up video. I went to the doctors this week and basically my health is not in the best condition, so they said to try to minimize the physical activity that I do. So I have basically just been doing push-ups and pull-ups, and that's been it. I've just been trying to let my body recover. But I do still plan on filming the video and posting it as soon as I can. It's just taking a bit longer than I expected it to, unfortunately, so apologies for that. Also, on a different note, thank you all so much for 100 subscribers. I was honestly planning on making my pull-up video, my 100 subscriber special, but you guys just went absolutely crazy with it and have been showing me so much support and love and encouragement over the past little while, and it's been absolutely amazing. So thank you all so much. It's been just way beyond my expectations, and it's all thanks to you guys. So thank you all for putting up with me and encouraging this random kid from the middle of nowhere who's just having fun with this challenge. So with that out the way, let's try to get in the video. I will say I don't have like a script or anything. I filmed this already once before and it went super great, and then I lost storage space, so it just cut off the video right as I was about to end it. So take two, here we go, let's run through it, baby, let's go. So when I first started going to the gym, one thing that I noticed was my diet actually increased. I was always someone who would never eat much prior to going to the gym. I just never had a big appetite, you know. It was super hard for me to gain weight. I was so small and skinny with a high metabolism. And when I started going to the gym, I was actually hungry. So I would eat so much more. I would want to say I almost doubled how much food I was eating. And it felt like I was making so much progress. But as I started to look more into the gym and become more interested and understand a bit more about what I was doing, I found out that in gym culture, they have this sort of like rule of thumb where you want to try to have 1 gram of protein per pound of body weight. And looking back at it at the time, I weighed probably about 130 pounds. I was probably only eating 40 to 60 grams of protein a day, which was still way below the amount that I should have been eating. So my diet underwent some massive changes through that time period. And honestly, I think that the thing that actually allowed me to get the most results at the gym in my past year has honestly been diet and changing how much protein I ate, as opposed to everything else. Like, as opposed to being more consistent with the gym, I feel like I'm not actually all that much stronger than I was when I went to the gym a few years ago, but I'm so much bigger and way more, and because I've been eating enough protein for my body to actually absorb all the progress that I'm making at the gym, whereas before it would go quote unquote like wasted. Not wasted, but I just wouldn't be able to get the full use out of it. I will say, as like a little forewarning, I am someone who believes in just trying to do this naturally, in the sense of like, I don't have protein powder. I just try to push my body by eating more and eating more protein, but I do try to stay like as natural as I can. I don't do this at like a professional level, as in I never actually counted the grams of protein that I eat in a day. I don't count the grams of protein or anything like that, but I do have a rough idea of how much protein 50 grams is, or how much protein I want to eat, and I kind of try to keep track of it that way. But I don't at all do this optimally. I do this in the way that I'm comfortable with, that I think works for me. And that's something that what I want to say kind of early into the video, is that all of this that I'm saying is what I did for me. What you want to do for you really is just find out what your body is comfortable with. So I'm sure I'll say this again throughout the video, but take this with a grain of salt, in the sense of this is what I wanted to do. I wanted to keep my body as quote unquote natural as possible and put in more effort, but not go to like a crazy extreme. And this is the kind of limits that I push my body to. For you, it could be different. So with that out the way, let's try to get into kind of what I eat now on a day-to-day basis. So every morning when I wake up, I'll have a Kirkland protein bar, 10 grams of protein, and I'll eat that while I make breakfast. My breakfast, my morning routine has been the exact same for a year. Literally every single morning I wake up, I have my protein bar, I make my breakfast, and my breakfast is always the same. I have 4 eggs, a sausage patty, and a breakfast sandwich on a breakfast bun, and then sometimes I add cheese into it, and I will eat that every morning without fail every day. Along with that, I also have about 500 to 750 milliliters of water, and just in the past week, my dad has been pressuring me to try to eat creatine. So for the past week, I've been also eating creatine in the morning before I go to the gym, and I've been having 250 milliliters of water with creatine every morning as well, which puts my water intake for the morning to about 750 milliliters of water to a liter. After that, I go to the gym, and at the gym, I always drink at least a full water bottle of water, which for me is 750 milliliters. I have this big boy water bottle, which is like completely oversized and doesn't fit any cup holders, so it's kind of annoying, but that's besides the point. Tangent. And I'll have that, so about 750 to a liter of water. And then when I get home from the gym, for lunch and dinner, it really changes, but basically I'll try to eat about 50 grams of protein, which I believe is, so for example, I may have 2 hamburgers, and then I'll also have a protein bar as well. Or like an equivalent would be like a chicken breast and a half to 2 chicken breasts, or I'll have about 3/4 to a loin of pork. Those are like rough math, basically how much protein I'll have in every lunch and dinner, but I don't have the same lunch and dinner every day, and I don't actually track the grams of protein that I have for my meals. Also, throughout the day, I'll have a protein bar usually between lunch and dinner, and then after dinner for like my bedtime snack, I'll have a protein bar, an apple, and I've been having a lot of nuts recently, so I'll have about 3/4 to a cup of nuts. Recently it's been peanuts, but like sometimes pistachios, mixed nuts, whatever. And that honestly pretty much entails my diet every day for this past year. So the way that I approach my meals now is I try to basically eat 50 grams plus of protein every meal for my 3 meals of the day, and then I have like a few protein bars slash snacks throughout the day. But basically for my meals, I try to eat as much protein as I can, and then after I'm full on that, I'll have whatever vegetables and fruits and then carbs that I can have to fill me up. Whereas before, what I would do is I would just increase the size of my meal. Now I specifically try to eat as much protein as I can, and then whatever room I have left, I will have vegetables and carbs. But I don't like completely cut them out. I still do have a, like, I wouldn't just eat all protein if I could, but I still do try to keep my diet somewhat balanced. That being said, what I found when I changed my diet was that it is honestly so much harder to eat protein. By changing my diet and what I ate and trying to focus on eating protein, I would get full so much faster. It was so much harder for me to eat all the protein that I needed to. And for me, I have quite a weak stomach and I can't have dairy. It was so hard for me the first few months to adjust to this diet. I will say I did go from like 0 to 100. I started from not tracking at all to like, okay, let's try to do 50 grams of protein per meal, which was just absolutely insane. And my body rejected it a lot at first, but slowly but surely I got used to it, and now I'm able to eat this kind of a diet and my body feels perfectly fine. But this is what I'm saying why it matters per person, because for you, this may not all be doable. Like my experience with this, honestly, changing my diet was the hardest part of my workout and the part that I enjoyed the least by far. I still had such a fun time going to the gym, making progress at the gym, even not making progress, just going to the gym and doing my thing. But whenever I was at home, it was like, I'm just force feeding myself protein all the time. It sucks. I'm just like, I feel like a man versus food competition every single meal I have. It was just torturous. And I still don't enjoy it, but it has become more like bearable. But this is what I'm saying about, like, for me, this is what I chose to do, and my body was able to adjust to it. But for you, that may be absolutely like, you know, I could never do that. Or you can think, oh yeah, this is something that I could probably do. But I will just warn you that for me, like, it was absolutely cooked. My body didn't like it at all. It took so long to adjust to it. But after a certain point, you become used to it. your body can digest as much protein. And I know that a lot of people will have like protein powders and other stuff like that, which is perfectly fine. Go ahead, you can take them. Just for me, I wanted to try to keep it as natural as possible. And like I said, I still don't really even count grams of protein like that. Like, I just know roughly how much it is, or how much I can eat to the point where I feel too full, and then I'll eat to that point and basically call it quits. I am in no means doing this the perfect way. I'm just doing this in a way that I'm okay with doing, that works for me. And you'll find a different way that works for you. Like, I know a friend of mine, he has every morning for breakfast, he'll have like Greek yogurt, which is very high in protein, and he'll, you know, have some berries, some oats, maybe a couple eggs on the side with it. And for him, it was super light, way more easy to adjust to eating in the morning, not at all as heavy as a breakfast sandwich. And like, he can eat dairy, he likes yogurt, perfectly fine. He found out something that works for him, and that's great. So just because this is what I do and what works for me to a certain extent, doesn't mean that it'll necessarily be the best thing for you or even what you want to do. Obviously, I was able to see some massive results due to the diet, like the drastic change in diet, but it didn't come without like its consequences. Like, it wasn't easy to eat that much, and I do think that at a certain point I was worrying a bit too much about how much grams of protein I was eating for my liking, so I definitely took a back seat and started worrying about it less, and now I kind of just eat off of feel as opposed to actually like accurately tracking. I do think that I probably eat around a gram of protein per body weight. Another thing that I did for a bit was I would track my water, which is what I mentioned a bit. So I would have about 500 ml to 750 ml of water every meal. And then at the gym, I would have about 750 to a liter. And then between lunch and dinner, I would have about 500. And with my snack, I would have about 500. So I was trying to drink roughly 3 to 4 liters of water a day. Honestly, I was probably drinking about 2.5 to 3 liters of water a day. And I was also trying to eat about 150, 160 grams of protein a day. And that diet over the course of the past year basically made me go from 140 pounds to 159 pounds at my peak. And now I'm at 156 pounds. But, you know, it'll come with the pros and cons of if you think it's worth it and if you think that it's something that you would be interested in doing. I am going to try to wrap up this video. I would like to apologize because the last video I made when I ran out of storage space was a lot more clean and concise than this, so I'm very sorry for that. Hopefully I was able to explain a bit about my diet and kind of what I eat on a daily basis that allowed me to gain this much weight. Honestly, the biggest thing was just trying to eat as much protein as I possibly could and then just go from there. But, you know, it'll be different for everyone. I don't want people to think that this is the only way to do it or the best way to do it. It is neither of those. It's just the way that I thought would be a good way within what I wanted to do to go about it. If you made it this far, honestly, thank you all so much for watching. Thank you so much for the 100 subscribers. I will definitely, I think, thank you a lot better in the pull-up video because this has just been super short. Oh, I'll just make a separate video thanking you. But I think that's it for today. I would be down to make like more videos on my diet. I want to try to make a video on my measurements because I have those from about a year ago and a few months ago. I still need to make the videos on pull-ups. I want to say thank you all so much for the support. Like, honestly, it's been so amazing, and just you guys have been so perfect, so perfect, so great to me, so nice to me this whole time. So thank you all so much for tuning in. I hope you all have an amazing day. Keep grinding, living your best life every day. God bless, and we'll see you all in the next one. Bye.